When it comes to projecting raw military power, few symbols are as formidable as the aircraft carrier. These colossal warships dominate the seas, capable of launching air assaults anywhere in the world. Floating military bases that command vast and apocalyptically powerful naval formations, they represent a level of power that no other piece of military hardware can match. It's no wonder then that any nation eager to flex its military muscles on the global stage is desperate to get its hands on one, or ideally several. Today, we're diving into the legacy of 4 of history's most powerful aircraft carriers, spanning from their earliest incarnations to the cutting-edge titans of today. So, let's jump in. Before we continue, we need to wind the clock back to the early days of aircraft carriers, a time when the very concept was still in its infancy. Our first carrier of interest was originally an ocean liner, though not quite in the way you'd expect. The ship in question was the Conte Rosso, an Italian ocean liner laid down at the William Beardmore shipyard in Scotland in 1914. Construction was proceeding smoothly until the outbreak of World War I, when the world descended into chaos after the assassination of an Austrian archduke by a Serbian nationalist. As Britain scrambled to rule the waves, the Royal Navy began seizing anything that floated, and the half-finished Conte Rosso found itself in their hands. But what to do with her? She wasn't suited for troop transport, as the Royal Navy already had plenty, nor was she capable of becoming a traditional warship. Her civilian hull offered about as much protection as a wet paper bag. Yet instead of despairing, the Royal Navy saw an opportunity. They decided to convert Conte Rosso into something entirely new, an aircraft carrier. Rechristened as HMS Argus, she became the world's first true aircraft carrier, with a full-length flight deck that allowed normal wheeled aircraft to take off and land. With a displacement of about 14,450 tons, a length of 565 feet, and a beam of 68 feet, she was just a tad smaller than the supercarriers of today. Although her top speed was a modest 20.5 knots, and her armament of 6 4-inch guns was only suitable for anti-aircraft and fast boat defense, her real power lay in her ability to carry and launch 18 aircraft. For her time, HMS Argus was revolutionary, and her capabilities were a glimpse into the future of naval warfare. Commissioned in September 1918, HMS Argus arrived too late to see significant action in World War I. Instead, she spent her life as an extended prototype, testing the limits and possibilities of carrier-based aviation. The Royal Navy flew every aircraft they could get their hands on off her deck, experimenting with different tactics and strategies that would prove invaluable in the years to come. By the time World War II rolled around, HMS Argus was outdated but still valuable. She provided air cover for convoys and participated in Operation Torch, the Allied invasion of North Africa. Though she was no longer the cutting-edge vessel she once was, HMS Argus had laid the groundwork for the carriers that would follow. From this pioneering ship, we now turn to what is arguably the most legendary aircraft carrier of World War II, the USS Enterprise. Known as the Big E, she was the single most decorated ship of the war, earning a total of 20 battle stars for her service. Commissioned in 1938, Enterprise was the second of the Yorktown-class carriers, designed under the constraints of the Washington Naval Treaty of 1922, which limited her displacement to 25,000 tons, a far cry from today's behemoths, but enough to pack a punch. With a length of 827 feet, Enterprise could carry up to 90 aircraft, making her a formidable presence in the Pacific theater. From the very start of the war, she was at the forefront of American naval operations. Just 3 days after the attack on Pearl Harbor, her planes sank the first Japanese submarine of the conflict. In the critical early months of the war, when the American fleet was still reeling, Enterprise provided crucial air support for raids on the Marshall Islands and defensive operations off Hawaii. But it was the Battle of Midway that cemented Enterprise's place in history. Fought between June 3rd and 6th, 1942, this battle saw the US Navy sink 4 Japanese carriers, destroy nearly 250 of their aircraft, and kill many of their best-trained pilots. effectively ending Japan's ability to expand further in the Pacific. Enterprise's squadrons were instrumental in this victory, despite taking 3 direct bomb hits and 4 near misses, which killed 74 sailors and wounded 95 more. Enterprise's sturdy design and her crew's bravery allowed her to return to Hawaii under her own power. After repairs, Enterprise continued to distinguish herself throughout the war. She provided close air support for landings on Makin Atoll, Jaluit Atoll, and other islands, and later played a key role in the Battle of the Philippine Sea, the largest carrier battle in history. By the war's end, Enterprise was old, battered, but still a symbol of American naval power. Decommissioned in 1947 and scrapped in 1958, her legacy lives on as one of the greatest carriers ever to sail the seas. Now let's fast forward to the Cold War, where technological advancements took aircraft carriers to new heights. The next carrier on our list is another Enterprise, this time the USS Enterprise, CVN-65, the world's first nuclear-powered carrier. Commissioned on November 25, 1961, this Enterprise was a true game-changer. Her 8 nuclear reactors allowed her to operate for over 25 years without refueling. A stark contrast to the older steam-powered carriers that required frequent stops. At 100 feet long, Enterprise was the longest military ship ever built, with a displacement of 93,000 tons. She could carry up to 90 aircraft and house 4,500 crew members. Her nuclear propulsion system marked a pivotal moment in naval warfare, allowing her to sustain prolonged deployments anywhere in the world. Her first combat operation came during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, where her presence was a deterrent without ever firing a shot. In Vietnam, Enterprise became the first nuclear-powered ship to engage in combat, flying thousands of sorties and delivering precision strikes against enemy positions. Her global deployments during the Cold War were a visible reminder of American naval power, whether patrolling the Mediterranean or countering Soviet influence in Asia. Despite her impressive service record, Enterprise was eventually deemed obsolete and decommissioned in 2012. She was scrapped in 2017, marking the end of an era. Yet her legacy paved the way for the carriers that followed, proving the viability and strategic value of nuclear propulsion. Finally, we arrive at the most powerful aircraft carrier ever built, the USS Gerald R. Ford. Named after the 38th President of the United States, this carrier represents the pinnacle of modern naval engineering. Launched in 2013 and commissioned in 2017, she is the lead ship of her class, with 10 more planned to replace the aging Nimitz-class carriers. The USS Gerald R. Ford is all about efficiency, survivability, and adaptability. Her most significant innovation is the electromagnetic aircraft launch system, EMALS, which replaces traditional steam catapults. EMALS allows for more precise control, reduced stress on aircraft, and quicker launches, increasing the sortie rate to 240 a day, enhancing her survivability in hostile environments. With a displacement of 100,000 tons, Gerald R. Ford can carry up to 90 aircraft, including the latest F-35s, Super Hornets, and helicopters. Her nuclear reactors allow her to operate for over 20 years without refueling, ensuring that she can project power anywhere, anytime. Her arsenal includes advanced missile systems, close-in weapon systems, and the capability to support future technologies as they develop. In short, the USS Gerald R. Ford is an absolute powerhouse, a testament to American military innovation. But even she won't hold this title alone for long. Her sister ships, the USS John F. Kennedy, USS Enterprise, and USS Doris Miller, are on their way, ensuring that the United States Navy will continue to dominate the seas for decades to come. From the humble beginnings of HMS Argus to the cutting-edge might of USS Gerald R. Ford, aircraft carriers have evolved into the ultimate symbols of military power. They are floating fortresses, capable of shaping the course of history, and the nations that possess them hold a key to global influence that few others can match.